have and the have-nots. The line. The place that people on the bottom are trying to get to, the place that people on the top are trying to keep them going below. They don't want to look below it either. They don't want to see what's down there because that'll make them feel too guilty about being above it.
The line is the firing line in which people face survival or death. And sometimes the person holding the gun is their neighbor, and sometimes it's their congressman or their alderman who's not doing enough to help them.
The line is where you were always in a position to give help. And then for the first time, this line of I've gone from being somebody who could help to being somebody who needs help.
There's a certain amount of pride that comes in being independent. And there's a certain amount of shame that comes into having to beg for every little thing that you get.
$23,000 is no money, nearly. And yet I could still see families who make $35,000, who are still poor, who are still about to lose their home, who still can't afford groceries.
When you start trying to tell people about poverty, they start making excuses and making heartless statements about why people are in poverty, and they don't even have a clue. They don't even have a clue.
Some of the most prevalent and damaging stereotypes about poor people are that they're lazy, that they're stupid, they don't have any skills, prefer poverty, that they can't take care of their families.
Poor people are working harder, just trying to keep their heads above water than we can even imagine. It's hard.
It doesn't matter if you have to stand in line and kind of feel bad about yourself, that you're a failure. You have to cross that line to be able to keep the lights on, be able to keep feeding the kids.
That could be you without a house, wondering if they're going to come put you out. But for the grace of God, because a lot of these people had jobs, had degrees, did everything right, but the bottom fell out. And that bottom was that line. They went below that line.
DuPage County is considered one of the richest counties in the state of Illinois, probably one of the top 50 counties in the country as far as per capita income. So there are a lot of well-educated, middle-class, upper-middle-class people that live here. There's also the part of the county that people don't talk about. There's the about 10% of the population that lives at or below the federal poverty line.
Good morning. Here you go. You're all set. Thank you. Just have a seat over there. Okay, thanks.
I remember the first time that I tried to go, I just couldn't do it. I drove there and I sat there and I couldn't get out of the car. And the second time I got out of the car, I went in line and then just got either impatient or just sort of embarrassed and just kind of walked away. Because you just don't want to admit that you're that defeated. You've been brought up never to be a charity case, never to have to ask for help, and all of a sudden you're in that position where you got nowhere else to go. And it's hard.
Right.
And you have a birthday bag for Jason?
Yes.
Good. How old is Jason?
It's going to be 12.
Suburban poverty is now at currently higher rate than urban poverty. It's been a tidal wave over the last 5 years, whereas maybe before it was a trickle, now it's just suddenly, people standing outside the door of the food pantry waiting for us to open. There's a desperation, and all the organizations haven't been ready to deal with the numbers of people coming through their doors. Private organizations are a drop in the bucket compared to the federal assistance programs, and so I think there's got to be a partnership. We certainly know that we have a responsibility to do the job that we're doing, and we want to do the job we're doing, but we can't do it alone. We need the resources of the government to help. Everyone comes here. It's people that have grown up in poverty to people that had six-figure jobs that were running companies that have lost their job, so they're at the end of their rope and they end up here because they don't have anywhere else to turn.
I'm 48 years old and I have 3 kids, single dad, got a daughter of 17, and 2 sons at 14 and 11, maybe 12 and 2, so about 2. I was in banking, a senior vice president, making 6 figures. I was very comfortable. Then the last bank I was at was acquired, went off on my own, and started to organize banks kind of at the perfect wrong time in a perfect storm, and kind of everything fell apart from that.
Okay.
My wife at that time filed for divorce because we were in an affluent town. Kind of the stress of all it took its toll on our marriage, and pretty much that was it. I had to decide what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I had always in the back of my mind thought about teaching. My mom was a teacher, my grandmother was a teacher, my sister was a teacher, so I kind of thought, well, maybe this is my signal to make that transition. Sometimes you just feel like you're sending your resume into a black hole. You know, you talk, you know, the principal, or you follow up, and you're like, you know, we've got 4,000 applicants. And you're like, okay, how do I get noticed? How do I do anything? Pretty much I've been on my own for 2 years, trying to make by on essentially teaching income, trying to make by on any tutoring income I can get on the side. In substitute teaching, you're looking at $85 to $100 a day, depending if you get called into work that day. Usually it's last minute. You know, you may get a phone call at 5:30 in the morning. You know, for me, you know, best case, if I'm working almost every day, I can make $12,000. That would be the best I can do. I never thought I would be in that position. I was a straight A student, I got a high ACT, went to a great school, graduated high honors. Everything is roses. Everything's perfect in your life.
Coffee. Always desperate for coffee.
You have to work really hard to find a way to get by. The government isn't really seeking you out to say, we want to help you get you back on your feet.
All the bread you want. All the bread.
I mean, I'm insulted if somebody says, you know, John, you're just lazy. You're just not trying. You just don't care. You know, I'm like, I care. I care more than anybody.
It's sort of like being at a grocery store where not everything's been put on the shelf, but you just have to do the best you can and hope you get enough that can help you to get through each month. So you kind of put your own choices to the back burner because you know, you just have to try to look and say, what do you really need?
I think that there's a real divide in this country and that people are struggling. The people that maybe are sort of untouched by the recession think that, oh, well, you know, unemployment is going down and, you know, things are starting to look up, businesses are starting to hire people. They're not seeing those people that have really, really been struggling for a long, long time.
You have to make choices sometimes about what bills you're going to pay. I mean, I've had my gas shut off. I've had my electric shut off. It's horrifying. And it's embarrassing when your kids go to turn on something and it doesn't work. It's the most horrible feeling in the world. Kids just don't get it. I think that's been the hardest thing, is just to answer the questions. You know, my youngest son will just say, Dad, when are you going to get your car fixed? You know? And it's like, well, when I can, you know. I have gotten used to checking for the expiration dates sometimes. You know, you just got to be careful. Not that you're angry, you're grateful that you get what you get, but one time I got some Velveeta that somebody donated. He was 5 years old. hoping that I can hold on for at least another year, maybe two. My kids at the age they are, I really want to be around for them, so moving isn't an option. I just feel like I've aged so much. It's like a constant kind of throbbing in your mind of like, what am I gonna do? I don't want to worry about this anymore, but you just don't know how to stop it. You're doing everything that every person says is the right thing to do, the right steps to follow, but it's not happening. And what if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't happen fast enough?
I do think that a lot of violence and a lot of what is going on right now is associated with people who are living with post-traumatic stress disorder. Trauma is simply a shift, a sudden shift in the ways in which we understand life and make meaning. Trauma in a psychological or more psychosocial sense in which I'm poor now. Wow. What am I supposed to do? Or the other experience of people who have lived in poverty their entire life, and their mother did, and their grandmother did, and their grandmother did. So there's been generations of poverty, and there's a more deeper trauma, which is affiliated with this sort of nihilism or this sense of meaninglessness, hopelessness that says we will always be this way. This will always be the case.
We're on Monroe and Pulaski, and it's considered K-Town from Pulaski to Laramie because of the car route, Cedar, all the pain. And this is where I grew up, in this house, with my family, my father, my mother, my two sisters, and three brothers. My sister was going to play for church, which was about a block that way, and about 2 blocks over. And she was walking, it was late, around 10 or so. She was coming down around the corner. She was shot and killed. She was shot in the head and killed. Police never came. They came for that night, but there was never an investigation. So as far as I'm concerned, they never found out who actually killed her. But that destroyed our family, pretty much. That was the beginning of the end of the family that we knew. Just one bullet. We never recovered. One bullet. And we never recovered. I think the thing that bothers me the most is that my sister wasn't statistic. She had a name. She had a family. She had people that loved her, who depended on her for their survival, literally for their survival emotionally. And it's hard for me even to come down this block. It was a long time that I could even drive down this block because I always think about the day that I heard the bullet.
So I go by Jake Quest, and my music is what my ministry is. It's around helping people understand that you're human and that you have a ton of possibility and a ton of potential inside of you. And we need to hear that more in these communities of poverty. People are killing each other for some very plain reasons, because whether they're poor or not, in terms of a quantitative measurement, they feel poor. They feel like they need more. They feel less than human. They feel offended by their government. They feel offended by their neighbor.
It's like my dreams out of reach. This pain and all this grief. You see God and you have to speak. Tell them it's crazy in these streets. Feel my pain and it's so deep.
Most of the young people where I grew up in K-Town, they didn't expect to live past 18, 20s because their friends are dying like, around them. Like this is literally a war. They never know from one day to the next if you're going to wake up and your friend is going to be gone or if it's going to be you. So there is no hope. You know why they're not so keen on education? Because education means you plan to have a future. They don't plan to have a future. They think the streets are going to kill them. That's their reality. One of my first jobs was working at a bank downtown. And when I would say to people where I came from, where I lived, they would be so shocked. really? You lived over there? Because they don't expect people from Paytown or certain areas to be able to get out and get good jobs and to actually look like success. I was one of the youngest supervisors at the bank. And I didn't have my first child till I was 30. I didn't have to depend on anyone, and all the bottom fell out in one fall. It's just all the bottom fell out. There was a screw. My boot got caught in the screw, and I fell head first, 14 feet, into a wall. I broke my arm in two places. I knocked my brain into my spinal column. So it's caused me to start having stroke. I ended up having to have brain surgery when I took a piece of my skull out so my brain could breathe. It took me 15, 20 years to finally get back to where I could be up and around. Keep in mind that I had a 7-month-old, a 2-year-old, and a 6-year-old. I knew I needed to leave out of that neighborhood where my son turned 7.
See, I had a lot of fun as a child running up and down the block. I didn't realize that I was around one of the biggest drug operations I've ever had in my house. There was a lot of stuff being sold in and out through there. They'd ask me to take something to someone else. I've done that in the building, and I didn't even realize what I was doing. I was just delivering, thinking, hey, they asked me to take this down.
Some of these little boys I knew were bad news. He didn't, but I knew. This house that we live in now used to belong to my parents. And then when my father passed, the house was just too much for my mother to handle. So my sister, my brother, myself, we all moved out here to live with my mom. And together we made it a community home, which is what, quite often happens when people are trying to, get out of a bad situation. Right after, about a year after my accident, I realized that I would not be the same. And I went on disability. And disability gave me $1,000. I think at that time it was like $900 a month. I had 3 children. They gave me $900 a month for me, and they gave me $122, I think, for each child. Keep in mind, that's to pay my rent. I had food stamps, but it wasn't a lot, so a lot of times we would run out of food stamps. Giving my children hope, that was the hard part, because they went to a private school, so they lived with all these people who were very well off, who drove nice cars, whose parents were giving them credit cards to spend carte blanche. And then they came back here, and I'm saying, nope, we don't buy name brand gym shoes. Nope, we're not going out to eat. We gotta do whatever mama's got to cook. It was disappointing from a mother's point, because I wanted to give them the best, and I always thought when I had my children I was going to be able to shower them. That was my desire, as I think most parents. That was my desire, but I wasn't able to do that.
I was born and raised in this little town called Deviant, Louisiana in 1945. Just about everyone in this community had done fishing of one type or another, either crab fishing or shrimping or oystering, at least part-time. It was a wonderful way to make a living. God gave us a heaven here, a gold mine. It was there for the taking. Anyone that wanted to make a good, honest living could do it. All they needed was a strong back and a little bit of brains. No matter what time of year it was, you were either shrimping, crabbing, dredging oysters, or person that didn't have any work could come to this marina, go by the conveyors where they were unloading in the evening, and hey, I need a job. Okay, show up here tomorrow morning. You had a job. The people of this area, this entire area, depend on the environment. They depend on what God gave us. And God gave us a lot now, but we didn't know how to take care of it. Had someone told me 10 years ago that this place would be this dormant, I'd never believed it. I never would have believed it. But it's happening. It's happened so quickly. It's just unimaginable. I don't know if it's because of the natural disaster that we had with Katrina or the oil spill. The natural resources are not there anymore. The coastline is washing away. There's places that when I was in high school, we used to go out and hunt rabbits, and now those places don't exist. They're all water. They're gone, completely gone. It's a minimum, or an average of 3 years before that oyster's ready for the market to be harvested. Next year there'll be no oysters. For 3 years there won't be any oysters. And this year we had a very low harvest of shrimp. So what's going to happen? I don't know. I don't have any confidence in the future. Unless we get a drastic change, a sudden change in the amount of seafood and the prices, there's no way that I can continue to do this and survive with it. Because all I am doing now is losing money. Just can't do it. The numbers don't add up. They just don't add up. I don't worry about myself that much. It's only just me and Bonnie. We'll survive. But my children, I worry about my children. This community, I've seen a change not only with income, but I can see a change in the people. The people that are still here are not happy anymore. The people were always jolly. They didn't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow was taken care of. And now everyone's worried. They're all stressed. Catholic Charities was here up until last week, paying people's utilities for it. And now they're gone. They left last week. So a lot of these families that were dependent on that, they don't even have that now. So, in this great United States, believe it or not, we're going to have people down here that are going to have their electricity cut off. I hope that it gets better. Deep down inside, being realistic, I don't see it. It's just a culture, the whole culture. The whole culture.
Poverty is struggling to make things work. When you have to struggle paycheck to paycheck, you try to fight yourself out of it, but you can't. born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, with my two sisters and my brother, my mother, and my father, until my father decided to just leave the house and leave us by ourselves, which hurt my mother mentally and got her unstable. We would have never survived if welfare didn't approve us and we were getting food stamps every month. And no, me by myself, I wouldn't have been able to do it, and I had to give up going to college. Went down to the racetrack in New York City with a friend of mine, started hot walking horses coming off the track, and that's where I started working, which was at the racetrack, and turned around and did it for 22 years. It was every day, 365 days a year, and that was it. There was never a day off.
Making rash decisions and doing things that may be even uncharacteristic for yourself because you're so desperate.
We cannot be silent while that happens. We cannot say, oh, well, that's on them. No, systems need to be broken to stop poverty too. Policy needs to change in order to stop poverty. And there need to be people in place who can properly change policy to help poverty. At the same time, there are people who are poor who need to know that there's a way out of this and need to know that they are more than their poverty. Because I believe that if we tell people that they are better than they think they are, that they will do better than they think they can.
This is not the end.